gather round, and let me tell you a story. A tale from the old days, told by the fireside on long, dark nights. It begins with a woman sitting alone at her spinning wheel one evening. The fire crackled in the hearth, the wind howled outside, and the rhythmic whir of the reel was the only sound in the small cottage. As she worked, a deep loneliness crept over her. She sat and she reeled, and she wished for company. Just as the thought crossed her mind, the cottage door creaked open. In came a pair of broad soles, slapping against the stone floor. They shuffled over to the fireplace and sat down. The woman's heart fluttered, but she didn't stop her work. She sat, and she reeled, and she still wished for company. Then a pair of small legs appeared and attached themselves to the broad soles. The strange figure was beginning to take shape. Still, the woman kept her focus, the thread twisting through her fingers. She sat and she reeled, and she wished for company. Next, a pair of thick knees settled upon the small legs. The sight was unnerving, yet the woman's hands never faltered. Her wheel spun on and on. She sat and she reeled, and she wished for company. After the knees, a pair of thin thighs connected themselves, followed by huge hips that settled heavily onto the thighs. The growing form was now sitting more substantially by her fire. The woman swallowed hard, her eyes darting between her work and the eerie guest. She sat and she reeled, and she wished for company. Then a wee waist appeared, cinching itself onto the huge hips. It was followed by a pair of broad shoulders, which settled upon the tiny waist. The silhouette was becoming alarmingly human, yet distorted and unnatural. The woman's fingers trembled slightly, but the reel kept turning. She sat and she reeled, and she wished for company. A pair of small arms sprouted from the shoulders, and then huge hands attached themselves to the ends of those arms. The thing flexed its massive fingers. Finally, a small neck grew from between the shoulders, and with a soft thud, a huge head settled on top. It was complete. The creature sat there, a grotesque assembly of mismatched parts, staring into the flames. The worry of the reel was the only sound. The woman, her voice trembling but filled with a strange courage, decided to speak. "How did you get such broad feet?" she asked. The creature's voice was a low growl. Much tramping. And how did you get such small legs?" A high, pitiful whine escaped its lips. Late and wee mow. "How did you get such thick knees?" She pressed on. Its voice changed, becoming pious and solemn. Much praying, and such thin thighs. Again the sad whine, late and wee mow. "How did you get such big hips?" The voice turned gruff again. Much sitting, and such a wee weast. The pitiful whine returned, late and wee mow. "How did you get such broad shoulders?" With carrion broom, it grumbled. And such small, small arms, ahh, late en wee mow. How did you get such huge, huge hands? Threshing with an iron flail, threshing with an iron flail, it growled, the sound like stone grinding on stone. And such a small, small neck, the most pitiful whine yet. Hh, late and wee mow. And how, she asked, her gaze fixed on the enormous head, did you get such a huge, huge head? The creature's voice became sharp, keen, and full of a terrible intelligence. Much knowledge, much knowledge. There was a heavy silence. The woman's reel had finally stopped. She looked at the complete being sitting by her fire, a being she had wished into existence out of her loneliness. She took one final, shuddering breath and asked the question that had been hanging in the air since the first footstep crossed her threshold. What have you come for? The creature turned its huge head, its eyes, which she hadn't noticed before, burned like hot coals. It rose to its full, towering height, waved its long arms, and stamped its broad feet. A voice like thunder filled the tiny cottage, shaking the very stones. For you. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this tale, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories from the shadows. Stay safe out there.